Hey folks, today's video I will be rating these 7 sweaters that I made for my daughter. Hey folks, if you're new here, I'm Dawn. This is Tangled Together, where I talk about my knitting hobby and the other things in life that get tangled up in it. So I've actually made 9 tops for my kid, but 2 of them I'm not going to be reviewing because I just finished them and she basically hasn't had any chance to wear them. One is the Dagmar Jr. and I finished it at the end of spring, beginning of summer, so not the time to be wearing a big cabled sweater. And the second one is the Plymouth Mini. She has actually gotten to wear that, but only like once, so I'm not going to include it in this video because I wanted to tell you about not only the patterns, but also the yarn and how it's held up. Most of these sweaters have been worn for at least a year. A few have been worn for multiple years. I think there's only one that has been worn for like 6 months. But I feel like that was all a good enough amount of time to be able to like judge how the yarn has held up, as well as like how the pattern has worn, if it's stretched out or done any weird stuff. That was more of like the construction and less the yarn, but also keeping the yarn in mind. Because hey, maybe you want to make something for your kiddo and you want to see how this yarn has held up. I'm going to talk about the overall project, and then I'm going to rate the pattern as well as the yarn kind of separately, because I feel like there are a number of these where my yarn choice was maybe not the best, but I really love the pattern, or vice versa. I'm going to try and go in like chronological order of the order that I knit them. Starting off with the Beach Waffle Pullover. This is a pattern by Sarah Goff, and the pattern is for sizes 3 months all the way up to 10 years, and that includes 10 different sizes. And I knit this up in Knit Picks Brava worsted in, I think it was like Cake Pop. It is this like speckled yarn. Brava worsted is a acrylic yarn, something that I kind of across the board had for choosing yarns for stuff to knit for my kiddo, because she's currently a preschooler. She's 4, so I wanted to make sure I had stuff that could be washed, that I didn't have to worry about hand washing a bunch of stuff or laying flat to dry. So almost all of these are wash and dry safe. I think I've got one that is supposed to be lay flat. So this has gone through the wash and dry. She's worn this, oh boy, for 2, maybe 3 years, and it has held up really well. There are a couple spots, like there's a spot here where I accidentally left a sticker on it before I put it through the wash, and the adhesive just hasn't come off. And there are a couple spots where like there's like a snag there and a little bit of pilling on the underarm, but I feel like this yarn has held up really well. This has gotten a lot of wear. It has been in sandboxes, it has gotten dirt on it, it's gotten food on it, especially because this was an early one. She was wearing this much younger, so there was just a lot more mess. And the yarn has held up really well. I feel like it was brighter when I first knit it, which makes sense, but I don't feel like the colors have faded all that much. And it also doesn't feel like the colors have bled, which is really nice with like a rainbow speckle. I do really like the amount of speckle in this. It does not feel too busy. And also I think for this is a broken rib pattern to get that like waffle stitch effect. I feel like the yarn, that amount of speckle works really well with this. As far as the pattern goes, this is a oversized waffle knit style sweater, and it is very oversized, which I like, especially for like baby toddler things, because I feel like it's a lot more forgiving when it comes to sizing. It is also the reason that she's gotten to wear this multiple years. The first year, it was way oversized, and we definitely like rolled up the cuffs, but it does have a very tight cuff And I think mine is even a little looser than a lot of the pattern shows. So like it's pretty easy to roll it up and it will stay. However, I feel like the larger sizes, it's too oversized. The sleeves are too kind of balloony. It creates more of a balloon sleeve and less of just like an oversized look, looking at some of the like project photos. So I don't know if I will be knitting this again because I feel like just in a larger size, it's not going to look great. And also my kiddo is very petite. She's 4, but she's still wearing size 3. And in the last like year, she's basically just grown height-wise, which has made pants difficult because everything just slides off of her. So I feel like especially the like super oversized just looks way too big on her at this point. As far as rating goes, let's start out with the pattern. For the pattern, I would give this a B. It's good. It's not great. I feel like because, especially as you get to the larger sizes, the sleeves don't look quite right. As far as the yarn goes, I would give this an A. I feel like it held up really well. It is not too heavy. It's like a nice texture. It's not amazingly soft, but it also like isn't scratchy or anything. And it's washed wonderfully. So there you go. All right, the next one that I knit for my daughter is the Winter Adventure sweater. This is a pattern by Natalie Pelykh, and it comes in sizes 2 years all the way to 14 years, which is 7 sizes. I knit this up in Knit Picks Heatherleigh Sport. So you can kind of see it. As far as the yarn goes, I feel like this has washed fairly well. The only thing is that there is some odd like color pilling happening that I feel like even if I were to come in with a depiller, it's not going to get it out because it's almost like the color pills have almost felted. Besides that, this yarn has held up really well. It is a wool acrylic blend, and it is designed to be like machine wash and dried. It is kind of made with the thought process of being a like baby kid friendly yarn. It was really nice to work up with. I feel like that wool gave it that nice like softness and warmth, but the acrylic I think just makes a little bit better wearability and washability. But just to show you, like, here's a skein of it, you know, unworked up, and then this is what the fabric kind of turned into. So it did have some heathering to begin with, but yeah, that like color pilling, not great. As far as this pattern goes, this was a really fun pattern to work up. It is a cable pullover, but you've got just stockinette sleeves and sides. So the cable was pretty easy to follow and remember. It's got this nice 2x2 ribbing at the top and the sleeves that also feels like a really good proportion because it's wide enough to get over my kiddo's head, but it also doesn't feel like it's gaping, which can sometimes happen with especially the smaller sizes because, you know, toddlers, babies, they have bigger head to body proportions than adults. And then I feel like looking at the sizing up, it looks like a lot of the sizing is, okay, how many stitches do you have in this stockinette? And then there is a little bit of variation within the cable. Some of the larger sizes look like they've got an additional cable right here. So you still kind of keep that main cable pattern. I really like the silhouette of this. It kind of has this like curved sleeve, drop shoulder situation that keeps it, it just has a really interesting silhouette because it has this like curve to it. The body is not oversized. The body is a little bit more fitted, but it is this like drop shoulder construction. So it's very roomy up top. And something about, I feel like the silhouette of that like coming in a little bit more also feels a little feminine. Okay, so let's talk about rating. As far as the yarn rating, I'm gonna give this a B because mainly that color pilling. It washed so well, it's worn really well, like it does look like it's felted ever so slightly, and there's a little bit less stitch definition. We'll get more into that in another sweater that I use this same kind of yarn in. And I have knit some like hats with this that I've done like striped hats, and it's held up great with hats. I think with like a sweater or something that's going to be washed maybe a little bit more, it's just not going to hold up quite as well. So like hats, blankets, I guess maybe even sweaters if you're just mindful of like how often you wash them, but I didn't want to have to like worry about pulling stuff out of her hamper, especially now that she's old enough that it's like, hey, you're getting changed, you can put your own clothes in your hamper, but not needing to be like, sweaters go over here, and like that's too much for a 4-year-old. A B for the yarn. As far as the pattern goes, I would get this an A. It's a really solid, great pattern. It feels like there's a good amount of sizing, but it still looks the same, kind of has the same feel as it sizes up. And I think just a solid cable sweater, also because it's not all over cable, it's a little less overwhelming, I feel like, to knit up. So maybe like a good, like beginner to cable sweater type pattern, because the main cable is complicated and you are going to have to follow a chart. But it's just that one chart. All right, next up we have the seed stitch cardigan. This is the 109 seed stitch cardigan by Plymouth Yarn Design Studio, and I knit this up in Knit Picks Swish Pops. I think it was Cake Pop was the name of this. I'll put the name up here. Is a Oliver seed stitch cardigan with a 1x1 ribbing, and Swish Pops is a 100% wool, is it? It is machine wash but lay flat to dry. So this is the only like don't put it in the washing machine, and I felt like a cardigan was maybe a little bit easier to remember that. As far as the pattern sizing goes, it comes in 0 to 24 months and only 3 sizes. This isn't my favorite one. I feel like my yarn choice, while it was this fun, like bright yarn, was maybe a bit too much because I found it a little hard to pair with other things. Maybe as a sweater this would have been better than a cardigan, because a cardigan I feel like needs to be worn over something, whereas a sweater can be more of just the main part of the outfit. Yeah, I feel like the yarn is maybe a little bit too busy. I did like how it looks with this seed stitch pattern. It kind of breaks up some of those lines, but there is, and like breaks up some of the pooling, although there is like quite a lot of pooling on the back. This was also one that I believe the sleeves I feel like are seamed together. I think so. And I found just the way the sleeves connected to the sweater, like my gauge must have been off on this, because it like puffs out oddly with how it connects. So this isn't my favorite overall. I think I just kind of, I made some poor choices. The design maybe, I don't know if that like arm thing is something that I necessarily did, or is an issue with like the pattern. So as far as the yarn rating, honestly, I'm on the fence between an A and a B. It has held up really well. There's like no pilling. It looks pretty much the same as when I first knit it. Granted, this has gotten a little less wear than some of the other ones. But yeah, it's held up really well. And I think I may have actually put it in the dryer too. And it shrank a little, but not a whole lot. So yeah, I'm on the fence between an A and a B with this. I think this maybe could be fun, like Swish would be a good kids yarn, and the pops maybe for something else, maybe in a different pattern. As far as the pattern goes, I'm gonna give it a D. I would not knit this again. It has limited sizing. I can't knit this again. My kiddo is way too big for 24 months. And the seed stitch also wasn't my favorite. It just was very tedious to do. And also that weird pickup rate along the sleeves. It just wasn't my favorite pattern. I was kind of glad when I was done with it. And yeah, and also just the limited sizing for it. There are other cardigans out there, cardigan patterns out there that you can just get kind of more use out of. Next up is the Storm Sweater. So I made the Storm Sweater Junior by Petite Knit, and this comes in sizes 1 year to 14 years in, I believe, 12 different sizes. And I knit this up in Knit Picks Heatherleigh Sport, so the same kind of yarn as the Winter Adventure. And yeah, I feel like actually the color pilling on this isn't as pronounced. It's a light, I feel like the lighter color, maybe there was less of that, as well as maybe the texture affected it differently than the stockinette. This pattern is a oversized drop shoulder all over texture. Sweater is designed to be that like oversized, very comfy fit. And yes, this is very oversized. She's gotten a couple of years worth of wear out of this. I think this might in fact be her favorite sweater, just because it's pink and it's cute and it's fun. As far as the yarn has held up, so there is a little bit of that, like, as I said before, color pilling. Also, the texture has kind of gone from this. I'll throw some pictures of it when it was like fairly new. Yeah, the texture just hasn't, the yarn has not held up the texture quite as well. So I don't think I would use this for this kind of yarn for a heavily textured fabric, just for that longevity. And then as far as like the Storm pattern goes, I liked it enough that I made an adult version. So I feel like the pattern is really good. It was easy to follow, and all of the texture sections were very like popcorny, especially in the small size, because I could get through them so quickly. And it was like, great, I got through the diamond texture. Now I get to do the diagonal stripe kind of texture here. And yeah, I do think it is a pattern that lends itself towards single color or like ever so slightly variegated, like hand-dyed yarns, but I wouldn't go crazy because you want to let the texture shine. As far as the yarn rating, it's getting another B, same as the other one. It's washed really great. It has lost some of that stitch definition, and there is that odd like color pilling, so just that longevity like didn't hold up quite as well, but I would use it again. As far as the pattern rating, I give this an A. It's a really good pattern. I feel like it's the right amount of oversized where it does look oversized the first, couple times your kiddo wears it, but as they grow into it, they can kind of fit into it a little bit more, especially if you like do this, save some of the yarn, you could potentially like add on an additional texture pattern and do the ribbing even longer. You're not going to have quite as much ease with like rolling up the sleeves as the beach waffle. You could, but I feel like it definitely looks more like, oh, you had to roll up the sleeves because they're too long, rather than like this is a choice that you made. So yeah, solid A. I will probably end up knitting her another one in another color at some point, but I'm not like chomping at the bit to do another one right away. Next up is another petite knit pattern. I've got a number of petite knit patterns just because she's got a lot of kid patterns. I liked the first one that I did. I would like to check out some more different like patterns, designers, that's the word I was looking for, designers for kid knits. So if you've got any that you know, please let me know. I'm definitely trying to like look for more and branch out a little bit more, but yes, I do have 3 petite knit sweaters in this roundup. So next is the Eva Cardigan Jr. And this is a pattern by Petite Knit, and I knit this up in Big Twist Menagerie. I think it was Rose Finch. I'm pretty sure Big Twist Menagerie is discontinued because it was a Joann's yarn, but it is a acrylic yarn. The Eva Cardigan Jr. comes in sizes 1 year to 14 year in 13 different sizes, I think. So yes, and it's just a very basic stockinette cardigan with this 2x2 ribbed collar and cuffs. Very good basic cardigan. As far as the yarn goes, this was an interesting yarn to work with because it stretches oddly. I also made a sweater for our dog with this kind of yarn, and it just stretched, and washing it shrinks it back down, but then it immediately stretches out and doesn't like seem to have much memory to shrink back up. I haven't had as much issue with the cardigan. I don't know if maybe it's the specific pattern or the gauge, but I have noticed it does shrink back up a little bit with washing, and like as she wears it, it stretches out and stays stretched out. It also has a lot of these like wisps to it, if you can kind of see that, that weren't there at the very beginning. There's not really much pilling on this. There's a tiny bit like on the sleeves, but not much. A few places where it's snagged. So the yarn has held up pretty good. The color feels like it has not changed a whole lot. I don't have a skein of this like unworked up, but I don't feel like the color has changed that much. And I do like that it is a like multicolored yarn, but it doesn't feel too busy the way that like the Swish Pops does. All right, if things shifted, I had to switch out the battery on my camera. But yes, as I was saying, I don't feel like it's as busy as like the Swish Pops because there's like the colors are closer together. There's less contrast between them. And I also feel like this was a really good color for a lot of the clothes in her wardrobe. She has a lot of like pinks and purples and pastels. So this has just gone with a lot of things. It also is paired well with some like primary color stuff. As far as the pattern goes, the Eva cardigan, I liked it enough. I made a full-size version for myself. This feels like a really good basic cardigan pattern. I do like the 2x2 along the neckline and sleeves and stuff. It just adds a little bit of contrast with the stockinette. But it was a quick to work up. The shoulder shaping gives this like kind of a little bit of, what is this shoulder? Is it contiguous? So there's not a whole lot of like picking up or any of that stuff. And yeah, it was just a fun knit, and also feels like a very versatile, good like basic to have in your wardrobe that you could do a lot of different things depending on what you choose to do with the colors and like kind of yarn you use. Okay, so for the yarn rating, I give this a C. It was not great. I wouldn't work with it again. It wasn't that comfortable to work with. It was fine to work with. It is very soft, but just the way that it like stretches and everything, I would definitely worry, especially with like larger sizes, that it would stretch out and then never come back. Or you have to constantly be washing it to get it to go back to its shape. For the pattern, this is going to get an S. this was a very good pattern. It feels like the perfect, like, slightly oversized. I will say the, like, Eva Cardigan adult, I sized down because I didn't want it that oversized. But the junior feels like a good, slightly oversized, where, you know, as I was saying before, it gives you a little bit of flexibility, but it also looks good. And it's just such a good basic piece. Like, I'm definitely going to be making another Eva cardigan for her. Probably something that to go with her, like, school uniform, because I feel like, especially now that she can start doing buttons and stuff like that, having that, like, throw on, throw off would be great for school, where it's like, oh, it's a little chilly outside, throw on your sweater before you go out. It's cold in the classroom. Let's have something to keep you warm. And also just the amount of sizes, like, I can make this through when she's a teenager, and could even, like, maybe add in some stripes to this, or do, like, the collar and the ribbing in a different color. That might be really fun. I might have to do that for her. So yes, S tier. Next is the sweater I knit, I think, in a week, and that is the Monday sweater. So this is also the Monday Sweater Junior is by Petite Knit, and it's sizes 1 year to 15 years in 12 sizes. That doesn't quite make sense. Maybe I had the amount of sizes wrong. And I knit this up in KNC, which is knit and crochet organic cotton. Again, I'm pretty sure this yarn is discontinued because it was a Joanne yarn, and this was the colorway Santa Fe. Do I have it backwards? I have it backwards. I will say this pattern, it's a little hard to tell which side is the front and which side is the back. If I make another one, I'm definitely gonna have like add in a fabric that has her name on it, so I can, like, label her sweaters for schools and stuff, and I'll definitely put that in to help remember which one's the front and which one's the back. All right, as far as the yarn goes, so this is an organic cotton yarn, and it has held up pretty well. There's a little bit of wear and tear. There's not really much pilling at all. However, I was expecting this to soften up quite a lot, and I don't think it's softened up at all. It still this was kind of a rough yarn to work with. I'm glad it really only took me a week to knit this, because it was kind of a hard week on my hands. I had to use, like, the hand massager that I have quite a lot, because it is 100% cotton. It also is heavy. It feels very heavy. And the cotton has, I don't know, like a stiff, not quite crunchy feel to it, but it's just not, it doesn't have that, like, softness that I would expect cotton to have after being washed, you know, for like a year and a half worth of washing. Yeah, it just not as impressed. I think maybe this would be a good cotton for more of home goods and less wearables, because I don't know, like, it's fine. It's just not great, and especially for, like, kids' clothes, I would want something that's softer. As far as the pattern goes, this is a really basic oversized raglan. It's got this nice double folded over 1x1 ribbing that gives the, like, top part of it kind of this, like, sweatshirt vibe. And yeah, it's a good sized, again, a good sized oversized, where it's just, like, kind of the good amount of oversized for kids' clothes. I think initially we did roll up the sleeves a couple of times, but it was more of like, oh, you're doing stuff unless it needed to be. But there's, like, the sleeve rolled up versus not rolled up. And I feel like the cotton actually keeps it rolled up fairly well, but I wouldn't do this with a purposeful plan to roll up the sleeves in the beginning. Yarn rating, this is getting a D. I wouldn't use this again, especially for like kids sweaters. It's just, it feels too heavy. It's too stiff. It hasn't really softened up, and, like, the amount of washes it's had without softening, and, like, the amount of kind of like where it's gotten, like just not impressed with this. As far as the pattern goes, I feel like this is a solid A. It's not amazing. It's an oversized raglan. There's nothing super impressive about it. I've seen other oversized raglan patterns out there, but it's a good one. I feel like I will definitely at some point make her another Monday sweater. It's a good basic, and I have had thoughts of using this to do like a striped or maybe even color work, like use the Monday sweater as the base and then come up with my own color work. We'll see if I do that. And the last one is the Coloring Book Tee, Coloring Book Mini. This is by Amy Scher, and I knit this up in Malabrigo Super Sock in Unicorn Bark. The Coloring Book Tee pattern comes in sizes newborn to 14 years in 16 sizes. And it also, in the pattern, it has instructions for short sleeve and long sleeve. So you get a lot with this pattern. The original pattern shows it with some stripes, and I've seen so many different people do stripes. I did just one yarn color because I was using this very, very busy rainbow speckle yarn. So as far as the yarn goes, it's held up good. Like, as far as just like the base, I feel really good. Like, it's gotten this nice, like, soft fuzziness as it's been worn and washed. There's like no pilling at all on this. It is a sock yarn, so you've got that nylon in it, and it's a fingering weight, so it's also very lightweight, which I love because a lot of the rest of these are DK. There are a couple of sport, so it's nice to have something that's lighter weight. My main complaint with this yarn is the color. The color has definitely bled. I should have used some like color catchers with this. And also it's busier than I kind of expected. I do have a skein of this. So you can see, comparing the skein to the finished, like even on camera, the finished is looking whiter than it actually is. This ended up being way busier than I expected with the speckle. And I know a little bit more about like how to read variegated yarn now that I feel better prepared. I do have 2 whole skeins of this yarn, so I'm definitely going to use this for at least 1 pair of socks because I think it's really great. It's Malabrigo, so it wasn't cheap. And I think it would work really great for socks. And I may use it in another sweater, maybe even another coloring book mini, as basically a stripe. I think that might be fun without, but having like a solid color to make it maybe a little less busy. As far as the pattern goes, this is great. My only complaint is something I did. I made the body way too short. This is like super cropped on my kiddo. I don't know what I was thinking. Like, that's the sleeve length, that's the body length. What was I thinking? I think maybe I was like almost out of yarn, so I wanted to just finish the ball. I had plenty. I should have just pulled out another skein. But this is such a great pattern. It's a lot more fitted. I love that it's fingering weight, so you have this lighter weight sweater. Also that it's got the T version. The stripes in the pattern look really great. I'm definitely going to do a striped one for her at some point. Yeah, and the fit on it is really good. I'm definitely going to do measurements on her moving forward. I think she's kind of at the stage where she's growing a little less rapidly, and you know, she's 4. I have a better idea of like how she's going to grow. Unless something changes very suddenly, I can anticipate her sizing a little bit more. So I think I'm definitely going to do the measurements, like chest measurements, just to make sure like what I knit is going to fit well. But I love the way this fits. It fits really well as just this, like, she can wear this on her own. She can wear it over things. She's also worn it under dresses. So it's just an overall great piece. Amy Shear does really great stuff on fit and all of that within her patterns. So it feels like you're really going to be able to choose something that fits your kid. So as far as the yarn rating goes, I'm gonna give this an A. I think it's a really good, like the base is really good. It is expensive. So maybe a B. Maybe a B just because it bled so much, and with like that expensive of yarn, I want it to look closer to what the skein is. Yeah, definitely gonna keep in mind, like, pick up some color catchers with the rest of that unicorn bark. But the way it has worn has been great. So that's kind of offsetting, like the price and the way that the color ended up, I'm not as excited about. The way that it's washed and worn has been great. As far as the pattern goes, I'm gonna give it an S. I feel like it's such a good pattern. It gives you so much versatility. You could do it in single color, you could do it striped, short sleeve, long sleeve, and it fits so well. And it gives you like the instructions in there to be able to make something that's going to fit well. Not just like, oh, your kid happens to fit this pattern, but by light, I can utilize the pattern to make something for my kid. There you go. I've lost, my light battery has died. I've been talking for way too long. So yes, those are the 7 sweaters that I've made for my kiddo and what I think of them. Have you made any of these, or have you used any of these yarns? I'd love to know what you think of them. What is your favorite sweater that I've made you?
This one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one.
All of them?
Yeah.
If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like and subscribe, because I make knitting content here along with, you know, other things that get tangled in with it. A big thanks to all of our patrons for supporting the channel. If you also want to support what I do, make sure you're subscribed and then head on over to Patreon to check out some cool perks. Can you say bye?
B.
Was that stair mouse for bye?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Bye.
B.
Someplace I call